All right, we're going to talk today about growing your agency without hiring a ton of people, how to grow in 7, 8 figures using a white label partner. We're going to talk deep about the trends in SEO and AI, optimizing websites that people aren't staying on as much so long, and what Brittany here would do if she was starting her agency today. Brittany is here from 51 Blocks. Brittany, say hi.
Hi, nice to be here.
Eh, Now, awesome. So this is a fantastic episode, and she's also going to talk about the key person if you want to grow a 2-person agency or even 3-person agency into 7, 8 figures. We're going to talk about that key person today. All this on the Garlic Marketing Show, but don't forget, if you're really looking to grow your agency, one of the best things you can do is get amazing client stories. Go to videocasestory.com, where we'll help you find the right story to grow your agency in the right way. You can get our case story finder at videocasestory.com/finder. All right, let's get started.
My name is Gino Wickman. I was introduced to Ian, and that's what brought me into this video world and got me embracing this video world. And Ian did exactly what I hoped. He got me really comfortable with putting videos out to the world and having a great strategy around putting videos out to the world, because there's so much more than just shooting a video. And so the way that he positions those videos, optimizes those videos, he's done a great job.
All right. And Brittany's coming from Portland, Oregon. Brittany, 51 Blocks is the company. Have you always been in Portland? Just curious.
No, we're actually based out of Denver. I'm remote. I'm out here on the West Coast by myself. But yeah, we have a global team. So we're based out of Denver, Portland. You know, we kind of consider like a hub as well. Yeah.
And, a lot of people, I think there's a lot of people out there, when they hear white label agency, either, it's an end user that's like, oh, I want the people using, it all being in-house, or, it's an agency owner who's been burned. How important are white label agencies nowadays to agency world?
I think it depends on your pain points. If your pain points are around trying to figure out scale, I think white label agencies are really important because they've figured out how to execute at scale. Most white label agencies have hundreds of clients. It's not like they're just stuck with 10. But if you're, obviously you find a lot of enjoyment in curating and leading a team, I think you may view a white label as an unnecessary option for you. So it depends on the pain point, but we all go through the same, I think, ups and downs of growing an agency. So regardless, everyone will have that moment where they hit the ceiling and they're like, how do I get past this point? Whether a system breaks, they can't figure out how to manage everything, those types of scenarios. Usually a white label, a good strong white label has that figured out for you.
And are you all like a pure white label, where no one knows you exist in the background, or are you like a partner?
Yeah, we're like a pure white label. So everybody can come here. And if you think of it, like they're able to leverage our entire agency structure, leadership team, managers, the account managers, client success team, everything, and basically just throw their brand name on it. So we work out of shared inboxes to manage clients directly under their brand name. It's I'd say it feels like a really nice, well-oiled machine because they can make a deal, close the deal, cash collected, come over, get their client signed up with us, basically tell us who we're talking to, and we take it from there. We onboard, we manage them, everything from like getting your reviews for your agency all the way to just the standard like monthly calls with your clients. We do all of that. And I think that's why we've been able to separate ourselves from the other larger providers that are just doing fulfillment only.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Yeah, because talking to the client and then trying to just pass it on. I know that even when it's in-house, it's tough. Much less with a white label partner, it's not having that communication there to make it a game of what's it called, Telegram with the
telephone, yeah.
With the cups and
yeah, exactly. Or they're like a ping pong ball. It's like such unnecessary overhead. Which is why we offer the client-facing support. I just found that why would you want to pay somebody thousands a month to just relay? And that's, to me, it's a waste of overhead in an agency. So we built it into our costs and we built it into our pricing structure because it just made the most sense.
And so you've had some stories of people growing. Tell me, like what's some of your biggest success stories? We were talking about one before the show.
Yeah, a good, we have quite a few. I would say one that stands out to us is a partnership that we currently serve. They started with just a handful of SEO clients, came to us. Pain point was like, they didn't want to manage SEO. It's not their space. It's not their specialty. They've used us for a number of years, and now they have hundreds of SEO clients, which is super cool to see how they were able to grow. They are a sales machine, and they do websites. They do some other things very well in-house. And with the client facing support, it was like we just were able to bolt right on to their agency and serve their clients and handle all the technical questions of SEO and manage expectations and do all of those things with a US based team that does that. And it's just became like such an easy and great example of how simple this can be, especially when you let your white label do what they're great at. And I think that's where we talked a little bit about at the beginning, when is it like the right fit, or how does this look for other agencies? I think too many agencies try and go to a vendor or try and go to a white label and control their processes. If you let your white label do what they're great at, I think that's where it becomes like getting the most out of what you're spending.
Gotcha. And when you said it's like they're stuck, right?
Yeah.
When someone comes to you for the first time, what's that look like? What's the optimum time to start engaging you?
Yeah. I think when you're starting to feel pretty burnt out of doing this, we get a lot of people in. We kind of joke our sales calls are like therapy sessions, because we talk a lot about where you're currently at and where you want to be. And we'll get people that just like completely, they tell us everything because they're tired. I think they're at a point where they just haven't figured it out. It's either not hiring the right people, not putting in the right processes, not knowing how to. We get a lot of people who are agency owners and their background is sales. They're great at marketing. They're not great at people management. They're not great at building an agency with structure and organization. And, they kind of fit in the realm of like shiny object syndrome, which is amazing for a visionary, not so great on the operation side. So if you're struggling with that and you find yourself in a place where you're like, why can't I figure this out? Or balls just keep dropping. The other thing is that we get agency owners in who are just tired of being a part of it all. They're really tired, not feeling like they can take a vacation and everything will be taken care of. So it's another scenario that we'll get where people are like, hey, I've grown my agency. It's like 20, 40 clients. And I don't want to be a part of all of this day to day anymore. And so they'll step out and let us take it over.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Good for them.
Yeah, no, it's good. And it's good for the clients too.
Yeah.
Because, they're well taken care of. And there is an economy of scale, especially like when we do case stories for agencies. I think that's a big thing that most people don't understand. It's like when you do it in-house, and if you have they're like, well, it's a small agency, I'm going to get better, service. But if it's done right, you actually have better systems, and you're seeing more of what's really going on, like especially in SEO, aren't you?
Oh yeah. One of the coolest vantage points we have is a white label. We're currently serving thousands of campaigns, like individual clients. We have such a high level of visibility for what's happening in industries, what particular types of clients like particular types of things. And so having a lot of the data at our fingertips helps us enhance customer service experience. So when we're dealing, for example, with maybe an older demographic, I think of lawyers in this case, they need a certain type of customer service that's going to be different than when we're dealing, and maybe somebody who has their e-com startup or they're in a different type of space. And we adjust and we pivot our communication styles based on that. And that's the psychology behind customer service. And I think that's where sometimes if we're throwing account managers on the forefront, the technicians, that's where it gets missed in a typical agency structure, as we're kind of missing the psychology behind the customer service and how we should be speaking and handling them.
That's interesting to talk about that, because I think that's one of those things that almost no one really thinks about as an agency owner, or even like a client, is, can you talk to me well?
Yeah.
They're just looking at strategy usually, right? Or technicals.
it's case by case. That's the interesting thing about managing so many clients over the years, is that no two clients are the same. And you might have someone who cares so much about how things get done and how they want to know all the nitty gritty details. And then you have another person who's like, just make the phone ring. And so that's the interesting thing about customer service and the way that you have to train a team who can manage at scale, meaning they're managing several different personalities at the same time, is that there's no like one right way to do it. It is more so getting to know the client's personality, seeing what the major pain points are, seeing what they care about, and then curating every call to accommodate for those types of things. And it takes the right personality, which is why at our agency, we opted not to have account managers on the forefront, because we felt like, one, they typically geek out, and it's fine. Like, I'm one of them. I was a former SEO. And I can go really like deep on the understanding of why the algorithm works the way it works, right? But
Yeah.
what we lose sight of in that case is that you may have a client on the other side who's looking at you like a deer in headlights, and they're like, what did you just say? And they lose the value in the service, right? Because they don't want to be spoken to like they should know what's going on. They need to be spoken to in a way that helps them comprehend the value of what they're paying for. So yeah, I can go on a whole tangent with with that kind of stuff.
And so, not speaking about technical, so I want to ask you some technical things. So now, I mean, obviously AI is coming out there, and there's a lot of big shifts in SEO, and you're seeing thousands of SEO campaigns. What are some of the trends that you're seeing that maybe most of us are missing?
I think it's to, one, really lean into AI optimization. So we just launched a product for AEO, Answer Engine Optimization, that attaches to SEO campaigns. And what we're doing is we're optimizing content in a way that's hopefully picked up by the AI summary. It's really important, I think, for agencies to adopt what is happening naturally and not create like this scarcity mindset that AI is going to take over everything. We're all going to lose our jobs. There will always be a place for humans in marketing. That is, I think that's just how it will be, right? Because AI cannot pick up on our comprehension of emotion and interaction and authority. Like, I don't think it can pick up on those things yet. Maybe one day. So, not now. But I think that's one important thing that agencies should really lean into, is just the use of AI. The other thing is not to go too extreme. Like, we see a lot of AI SEO agencies popping up. From a software standpoint, sure. Can it shortcut your time on doing technical things? Yes, absolutely. But is it going to be the sure bet all the time? Should someone without an SEO background be utilizing these tools and just taking them for like what they are and just running with it? I would say to be cautious of trying to lean so far in that you've forgotten that there still needs to be someone who's making the right decisions on what buttons to push. So there's a fine balance right now. I don't know that agencies are necessarily missing it. I think we're just seeing a lot of extremes. Either people are still too like, they're just put off by it. They don't want to get involved. They don't want to worry about like another helpful content update that takes everybody's content and tanks it. Or we're seeing like people go so far deep, they think it's as easy as pushing one button and suddenly you're going to get all these amazing results and you don't have to think anymore. So right in the middle is where I think most agencies should sit. Utilize it. It's amazing. It's perfect. We have to position the value to clients that this is the future. Like, this is where search is going, whether we like it or not. We want to make sure that we're proactive in the way that it's being utilized. And so that's why we launched like our own product of Answer Engine Optimization, is we wanted agencies to be able to sell this to their clients and say, look, we're on the forefront of something that is going to happen. So now's the time to get on board.
Love that. Yeah, it's great. And I think that's another thing that agencies forget too. It's not just results, that a lot of clients want to know what's the next thing.
Yeah.
Right. And especially if you're in a competitive industry, I know like you're talking about attorneys and personal injury attorneys, they're chasing the next best thing. And if you're not giving that to them, you'd be left behind.
Right.
And they're all trying to hack the system too. This is another interesting thing too that I talk about, because I feel the use of websites is just changing massively between AI, and you've got a generation that grew up on social media and doesn't want to necessarily even be on websites. How are you looking at that with your clients and website development and how you're looking at websites in general?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I have an 18-year-old and a 14-year-old, and I'm understanding that this next generation, they're smart enough to block all the ads. They're smart enough to like know where to go, right? There's no
Yeah.
longer this I think theory that like, let's get the clients into the website and they're going to travel here, 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 and here, and here. The customer journey is just so short now. Or they're just smart enough to know that like, I know what one page I'm looking for. And if it's not there, they're on to the next. So
Yes.
it's really interesting to understand this newer generation, Gen Z, that's kind of browsing and how they're doing it. I think the way that websites are changing is consumers want to know the information in about 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And I think what we used to understand is that this vessel, this place on the internet for us was our space to talk all about how amazing we are. And surely it was going to sell somebody. And now it's more about what pain points are we solving? Like, what is the real solution here? What's like the meat and potatoes? And put it in a space that they're going to see right away. Don't make them go to the next page to finally find where you want them to go, which is how I think we used to think of a journey. It was like the UX side of it was always about getting them deeper in the funnel. The funnel is very small now. So
Yeah. No.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you just have to be concise. You have to get to the point as quickly as possible.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Like the funnel that you can maintain is very small, but then their journey is like all over the place. I mean, I think we're all getting more and more ADHD, deficit disorder, and
Yeah.
bouncing. I mean, I know I'll watch a video and then I'll be like halfway through it. I'm like, watching like, hamsters running across the field. And then I'm like, what was I doing?
Yeah. That's what I do. I'm like, talk faster.
Yeah, I 2x the speed. I mean, even now, I'm going beyond 2x the speed. I'm like, let me just dump all this into AI and okay, just tell me what to say. No. And I think that, it's like when we think of that, you've got to be thinking of that in websites and SEO. And so, when we think about that journey and also the journey outside the website, and the fact that, especially large clients, they're just not going through a funnel. Right, they're not opting in. They just like call one day and they're ready. Where do you see SEO going with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still really important to get yourself. You look at search like real estate signs. We've always said it's like your title and your meta are like your real estate sign in search. It's still really important for you to get yourself in every visible place. What I think we're going to face is that you're going to still consistently have the people who are searching for information versus the people who are trying to purchase. And I see too many SEO campaigns still go a little too informational and not really targeting enough of that like transactional keyword terms. So in terms of like where we're all trying to get positioned, all of it's important. An omnipresent approach is important, right? You got to have your social media retargeting, your SEO. You might need to run paid ads if you're not currently getting yourself up high enough. Those types of things are still always, in my opinion, going to be vital. The platforms in which we do them on, I think, will change as we go into the future. And then certainly like the positioning of visibility it changes. So right now we're at a place where for a local client, a plumber down the road, we want to get them in the maps. Why? Because we know that consumers are going to look for reviews and they're going to look for location specifically for that type of service. And so getting them in the maps is the more important side. Now, will it also be important to get them in the AI summary for how much does it cost to fix my pipes or whatever? Sure. Like that would be another kind of layer of it. Getting them in the organic, that's another layer. So I do think that we're going to find there's layers to this. It's not just like go after this type of targeting now because it's just a different way that people search. It's more like how well can you saturate every aspect of this funnel? And that's the overall goal. It's not a one size fits all. It's certainly with different niches, you're going to find different demographics. E-commerce is so different, for example, than your standard service-based business. So we have to approach that differently. But no matter what happens, I think in the future, as marketers, our goal will still be to sit in the shoes of a consumer who's looking for the product and figure out that science behind what are they searching for, when are they searching for it, and get the client shown there.
Yeah, I mean, it's constant obsession about, right, the customer story.
Yeah.
And, that's why I tell people, like, the person who really knows the customer story is the one who's going to win and is obsessed about it. And then, and I think that's where having you come in, because like an agency can obsess about their clients' stories. Everyone's like, when I work with them and they come in for a strategic shoot day, they're always like amazed, like, how do you know and ask these questions? I'm like, because I know your customers, right? It's like, that's it. You
Right.
just know the customers. So when it comes to that skill set, now you're working with a ton of agencies who are using you all. If you were someone on the opposite side, like one of your clients, and you're building out an agency and knowing that, hey, I'm going to use 51 Blocks as my back end partner, how would you design an agency today? Who would you be hiring? How would you be working?
Yeah. If I was to start my own agency, utilizing, whatever systems are out there, I would definitely focus on one, targeting something that I'm passionate about. I see too many people come to us and say, what's just doing well right now? We're like, that's not it's not going to be a lasting way to go about it, right? I had a guy who came to us one time and goes, I'm just going to go after roofers. And we're like, okay, what experience do you have speaking to roofers? None, right? He came from a completely different, and he came from like the med spa space. I'm like, okay.
Oh, wow.
You're the salesperson, so you want to make sure you can connect with them. So I would obviously first start with that. Second to that, it's going to be understanding, do I want to buy or build? Buy versus build is a concept that I don't think people spend enough time understanding. When you go into this, right? So you join a master, you join these big masterminds or, the free groups, and everybody's out there starting from scratch. But you really have an option to also buy, right? And decide, someone else already figured this out. Why don't I figure out how I can leverage that, mark up my costs, and just be an amazing salesperson? So if I was to do this, I would be doing what we do for our clients. I would be basically understanding my audience, what they want, what they're, getting behind that psychology, finding the right products for them, figuring out my margins, and then figuring out how to just use an outsourced solution. Because at the end of the day, I think for the most part, when you're starting this out, your goal is to obviously grow. It's very hard to grow when you don't know what you don't know. And so, I would, that would be my take.
And then if you're buying, right? Or let's say even you're building, but you're buying, or you're building and you get some traction fast. Who would be, knowing that you have 51 Blocks on the back end, right?
Yeah.
And let's get specific to you guys, because it sounds like you've got a great product. What would be the team that you would really want to look for?
Yeah. So if you were hiring, let's say you have like your fulfillments taken care of, you're looking for the team that you now need to grow to help you grow. You want to find your integrator. And when I say this, I'm speaking in EOS terms, if people understand the visionary and the integrator. I think all great visionaries need somebody who's going to keep them on track. And I used to be in that role. I was the COO here at our agency for 6 years, and it was my job to keep our CEO on track. And that person becomes really vital in your own success because, one, they're going to curb your shiny object syndrome. Let's say you find a white label or you decide, okay, I'm going to outsource everything as you begin. And your attention takes you to, oh, I want to try them out. Well, now we're going to risk client experience because we're going to try and shift things over to another agency. Or you get yourself too deep in the weeds of managing now this outsourced team. Those types of scenarios are going to play out. You really want somebody who's going to be by your side managing more of that operations, because something that's not included in, let's say, our services will be your marketing, your like growth path, like where do you want to take your agency? Those are the types of things. Monitoring your client acquisition and client churn, like those are the types of things that you want to make sure you have somebody helping you with if you're not doing it yourself. So I think what's so cool about the way that we've been able to be helpful to others is that I've seen 2-man teams run 7-figure agencies with our help. And I've also seen like 5, 10, 15 people teams like be able to utilize us. And that, each one of those people in your agency carry a different role that you aren't going to be carrying yourself, or you don't want to. So that's what I would say. Get yourself an integrator. It could just be someone with an operations background, which I usually find is important because you're at 10,000 feet. You want them down in the minutia. You want them down in the weeds. So you guys have to complement each other in that case.
Fantastic. And that's great advice. And we have a lot of EOS listeners in here that are trying to find their integrator. So, you know, work on it. I think that's fantastic. You know, like mine, I grew right from inside but it was operations and moving up. This has been awesome. So someone wants to work with you, they go to 51blocks.com. We'll put a link in the show notes. If someone wants to follow you and all your amazing information, where should they follow you?
Yeah. If they want to follow me for any leadership advice or anything like that, my LinkedIn, Brittany Filori, is a great spot. And then if they want to follow anything in terms of what we're doing here at 51 Blocks, our social media handles are just at 51 Blocks.
Awesome. Put a link to all of that in the show notes. Brittany, thanks so much for being on the Garlic Marketing Show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you all for making Brittany and I part of your story. It's been Iron Garlic and the Garlic Marketing Show.